Hi, welcome to my lesson plan rationale for my reading and writing integrated lesson plan. Alrighty, the first objective revolves around students summarizing an identification of the text theme. The SMART goal is that by the end of the 90-minute literacy lesson, all fifth grade students will determine the theme of the short article 12 Seconds from Death by identifying at least two supporting details from the text that explain how the skydivers responded to challenges, and will write a 3 to 5 sentence summary that accurately reflects the central idea and theme, scoring at least 3 out of 4 on a teacher-created rubric, which is aligned to the CCSSRL 5.2. That is a Colorado fifth grade standard. The second objective revolves around text structure, and the SMART goal reads, by the end of the 90-minute literacy lesson, all fifth grade students will explain how specific sections of the text, beginning, middle, and end, fit together to create the overall structure of 12 Seconds from Death by identifying at least 3 key events or sections and writing their notes on a graphic organizer, describing how those parts build the text organization, scoring at least 3 out of 4 on a teacher-created rubric. This is yet again a Colorado fifth grade standard. So the first thing I had to do was decide what text would the students be reading. At my school, we use the curriculum Collaborative Classroom for our reading and writing instruction. This curriculum provides wonderful texts and great discussion questions. However, to foster a learning environment with high rigor, my teaching team has paired graphic organizers and written responses with every required text. This text is titled 12 Seconds from Death, and it explores the true heroic actions of skydiver videographer Ronnie O'Brien and his multiple attempts and ultimately successful save of experienced skydiver Richard Maynard and the newbie Smith, who became in distress when the professional, Maynard's Doge parachute strangles him, leaving the tandem pair plummeting to the ground. This is a nonfiction text, which nonfiction is the biggest bang for our buck when trying to promote overall reading comprehension. This text is engaging, and the suspense captures the hearts of all the readers. I will begin the lesson by showing this short 1-minute video. Let's watch the first couple seconds here now. All right, we don't have to watch the whole thing. As you can see, the video explains what skydiving is and has a great visual to go along with it. Many students have heard of skydiving before, but the majority have not seen it up close and personal. To be able to fully understand what they are reading about, showing a video so students can accurately visualize is imperative. Lair and Silvestri explain multiple theories, many having background knowledge as a foundational skill. Their article showcases not one theory is perfect, but a combination will support literacy development for all types of learners. Comprehension is one of the 5 pillars of early literacy, and to accurately comprehend, there needs to be background knowledge that can be used as an anchor for new material. This background knowledge also aids in the organization of facts for students and meaning making. Scarborough's reading rope has a strand dedicated to background knowledge, and the science of reading includes Scarborough's reading rope, so both theories support background knowledge being a key component in reading success. After showing the engaging video about skydiving, I will show a quick Khan Academy video as a refresher on the different text structures. Now is also the time where I front load the lesson by explaining the 2 main objectives, reading them the SMART goal. Yet again, there are many theories that have vocabulary included as a main component. The 5 pillars of literacy, the science of reading, and Scarborough's reading rope all recognize the importance of explicit vocabulary practice. Excuse me. The students have been well trained to have both the text we are reading and their writer's notebook out on their desk for each lesson. I read the vocab word aloud, which are plummet, entangled, consciousness, and adrenaline. After each word, they repeat me. I then use it in a sentence for an example, and then they have a section in their notebooks for vocabulary words and those quick write sentences. For each word, they quick write a sentence using the word appropriately, and then they share with their table mates to get feedback. This whole process takes about 5 minutes for all of the words. At the beginning of the year, I need to dedicate more time, but by now, my students are well adjusted to our routines, which makes things go faster. Since this is a short article, the entirety of it will be read in about 3 minutes. For the first read through, I will remind the students to be thinking about the theme and key details that support it. All students place their finger on the first word of the text, and when I say, "We are beginning with," they will respond with that word, and then track the text as I read it aloud, modeling expression and pauses where necessary. After the first read, there is time for myself to ask different depth and complexity questions, such as the different perspectives of the characters, the main idea and key details, and how the author chose to organize their writing. Then, for additional literacy practice, I have students each take a turn reading the article with their table mate. As their partner reads, they are tracking the text, and when they come across any key details, they are encouraged to highlight it right in the text, which even the struggling readers should have an idea of what to look for based on our discussions after the first read through. After both partners have read aloud, they discuss what they chose to highlight. Then we will discuss as an entire class what everybody thought the key details were that supported the theme of the text. Yet again, there are multiple theories that support fluency at the core of it. After all, fluency is a prerequisite to reading comprehension at all grade levels. The 5 pillars of early literacy support fluency at the core of instruction, along with the science of reading. Fluency is imperative for strong comprehension. In my class, I regularly refer to the depth and complexity icons. This is a graphic organizer that my students have used many times. There you can see 2 of the different icons listed. You can see the orange, yellowy one is for key details, and that green one is for main idea. Again, they're super accustomed to using these icons and they know what it means. However, if they were to forget, it is listed right next to it. So looking at this graphic organizer, they've used it many times. However, due to the high cognitive load that is required for the remainder of the lesson, we will do this component together. Completing the graphic organizer together and then having students independently write their summaries, including the theme of the text, supports the cognitive load theory. After completing the graphic organizer as a class, students will then independently write their summaries with the theme of the text in a well-developed paragraph. The way my lesson is set up supports multiple theories for writing, the first being the shared knowledge theory. Reading and writing both draw on vocabulary, text structure, and comprehension. All of these things will have already been discussed during the reading process and will now be applied and put together in their writing pieces. Next is the rhetorical relations theory, which defines reading and writing as communicative acts. This is why I always have my students writing about what they read, along with this theory analyzes the author's intended message, which is happening while the students are identifying the theme. Finally, the functional theory even gives the idea of writing summaries about what students read, and that is exactly what I am doing with my independent writing task. Finally, while everything is still fresh in the students' heads, we will begin a tree map in our writer's notebooks, another graphic organizer. Shout out to Thinking Maps for this specific graphic organizer. All I want them to do today is identify the text structure, and then tomorrow, after completing a reread, the students will write all the details and evidence that shows them they identified the correct text structure and how it supports the theme of the text. Tomorrow, after they wrap up this graphic organizer, they will have a writing prompt that they will then use both graphic organizers to answer, and they will be independently writing a written response that answers the question, how does the text structure help support the theme of perseverance gets us through difficult times? There are a variety of ways that I meet my diverse students' needs. I will be starting class by showing a video. This is a great way to build background knowledge for those that don't know what skydiving is. Along with it provides a visual which will helpfully aid students in their visualization as they are reading. Front-loading vocabulary should support my struggling readers as well. Also, when they turn to their table partners for their fluency practice, I've intentionally paired students so there is one strong reader in each group to support the struggling reader. There are even multiple ways for students to show what they know, as opposed to exclusively showing their knowledge through writing. Since students will be verbally sharing as well, I will be able to observe and listen to my students that are not as strong writers to see if they are still picking up on the theme and text structure. Additionally, specific students are allowed to use speech to text on their iPads when writing their answers. Along with, when they get to the final step of writing a tree map in their notebooks, they always have the option to use the online graphic organizer instead of handwriting it. As for supporting my higher level thinkers, I utilize the depth and complexity cards as shown on this slide to guide my questioning while reading the text, such as looking at multiple characters' perspectives throughout it. An ethical consideration for this lesson is ensuring that all students feel emotionally safe and respected while engaging with a text that describes a life-threatening event. From a Christian worldview, each student is created in the image of God and therefore deserves dignity, compassion, and equitable access to learning. Care will be taken to frame the story around perseverance and problem solving rather than glorifying risk, while also providing differentiated support so that all learners can participate confidently and successfully. The key takeaways of the lesson should be identifying the theme and the text structure. Today is all about identifying and how they knew what they identified as correct, and tomorrow we will be putting the two together and seeing how the text structure enhanced the theme. I close every lesson with a quick thumb rating. I would ask two questions since there are two standards. First, I can identify the theme of the text, and students would show me where they fall on their thumbs. The second question would be I can identify the text structure of the text, and the same thing, show me on their thumbs. Along with reading their written responses, this is a great quick check-in with me so I can see if they are getting it or not. It is obviously also a great self-reflection tool, along with a reminder of the big takeaways from the lessons. So, to wrap up this presentation, I need to give myself a thumb rating to see if I am fully understanding how past theories and current theories impact my reading and writing instruction. As of now, I'm about here. So almost all the way up, but I know that there is room for improvement. So in other words, I have a pretty decent knowledge base, but I know that there is more that I can learn. Finally, here are the resources I used. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my presentation today.